it out to them, but just want to make sure we have as much of a captive audience as possible.
I don't know who's on the call, but I can take all the notes that we need.
This is Arte. I've been on for like the last 3 minutes or so. But the audio went bad as soon as the recording started, so I don't know if it has something to do with that or not.
Okay. Well, let's get started, and we'll just get going. And Ronnie, if you'll hit the record button.
At the top, Helena, there's a little first 2 people in the top menu. It says attendee list. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people, either their name on here or not. So that maybe there was some. That's weird. There's very few people on according to the attendee list.
Right, Rob? Those are the folks that are on the computer.
Oh.
Hey, Rob, can you?
Where are you seeing the attendee list?
At the very top, it's a picture of a little orange flower, and then there's a phone and a screen, and then there's a video, and then there's 2 people standing next to each other, their heads. It's like a stick figure. It just says attendee list. But yeah, go ahead.
Hey, this is Jose. I'm actually on my phone, not on the computer.
Okay. Well, I think we should mute the meeting while he. So I understand now that people are on, but we can't see them because they called in. So we're going to make the copies and stuff. One thing that I think we better do is everybody mute their phone or have him mute the service, and then we can you can unmute or he can take questions along the way, because there's some background noise when people are traveling.
Yeah, we're going to have a question period at the very end. Well, let's get started then. Ronnie, if you'll hit the record button, we'll get going, guys, and hopefully this won't take too long. Again, thanks for everyone showing up today. Who did show up. This is I called it the Director's Enrollment Process Review, and that's just because I didn't know the titles and nomenclature of everybody's position titles and stuff at the time when we were making this, and we are going to correct that, Art, and we'll get that squared away as well. Might be a little delay in going to the next slides. So I'll wait a second here. The next slide I'm going to be bringing up, you guys, is the agenda for today's call. And really what it is we wanted to educate a lot of the executive staff, ownership staff, and I'll call them regional supervising staff on the events that are going to take place over the next couple of weeks in order for us to achieve our goal, which is to educate all the employees with regards to the benefit package that MAR has put together, and your broker, Derek at Venbrook, has used us to make sure this gets implemented correctly. We're going to talk about key process steps. We're going to talk about logistics on how we're going to go about this. What I'm planning to do after this call is to try to speak to some of our out-of-state regional managers about their particular places in general, and then I'll say that at the very end as well. We're going to talk about some dates, which we already kind of set up the other day with regards to that. And because this is the regional executive ownership management call, we're going to talk about what your role is on all this and the support we're going to need from you for us to be successful. So with that said, a little bit about us, and Mike, my partner, is on the call as well. Mike is the president of Essential Benefits. I'm the executive vice president, and we're an enrollment firm. And our enrollment firm, Mike established back in 2003, but some of our company values is we deploy personnel and technology and support that delivers benefits education, and I'll say that word benefit education over and over and over during the whole process, because that's what we really live, and that's our creed, so to speak. Our goal is to make sure that all employees understand the benefit package. Our goal is to make sure that they make correct selections based on their personal situation, and that's something we really pride ourselves on. So the way we do that, we increase employee and benefits IQ through group meetings, and we'll talk about that, face-to-face meetings and potential call center communications with employees. And we really believe in the interactive part of it to make sure that we're being successful and the employees are understanding what they're going through, the process they're going through for open enrollment. Like I said before, strong benefits education is really, really vital in what we do. The other part of one of the reasons why Mar and Venbrook hired us is because what we do for our processes is we help to create compliance with what's going on with the Affordable Care Act, most notably Obamacare. So one of the reasons why that we are out there, besides the benefit education part, is we are going to be collecting data on the employees to make sure that Mar in general is compliant with all the laws, and making sure that is being collected as well. So we also are going to be introducing MetLife supplemental benefit products. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So something that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Mar has never had a supplemental benefit offering yet in their benefit menu. The key process steps is the next thing I'm going to be talking about. This manager's logistics call is today's call. And we want to make sure that you kind of understand what goes on with that. We will be sending out pre-enrollment communications over the next week, and we really want to get your support on this with regards to getting the information out to the employees as much as possible. We want them to make sure that they're going into their one-on-one enrollment meeting with information from a general standpoint. So when they meet with a benefit counselor, they'll be able to discuss things with them in more detail, ask questions of them that it's more pertinent to their personal situation, and that's part of our education process. We're going to be using an online scheduler, and we're going to have a call on Monday, as many of you know already. And after that call on Monday, we're going to be sending out a link for the scheduler out to the emails that we've been provided, which are the store emails. This will allow store managers to schedule their people accordingly. And one of the goals that we have as an enrollment firm is we want to achieve our goal of at least getting 95% of all the employees enrolled making elections or declinations or things of that nature, that we can collect that data, but also from the standpoint of trying not to get in the way of what you do for an industry. So that's something that I think that we really need to talk about at a later date with that schedule coming out. So the managers on Monday will receive this link after we do this pretty much the same call that we're doing today. That way you'll know what to expect on Monday's call as well. All employees will meet with a benefit counselor, and that's vital, as I've said a couple of times before, for compliance issues. And this is, again, all benefit eligible employees, and it does go without exception. So for those folks that do have employees that are not available that week, leave of absence employees that are benefit eligible that are on vacation, we'll have a remedy for that as well. So if you do have a question at the end with regards to that, we'll be more than happy to talk about that. Employees that miss their face-to-face meeting with the benefit counselor, we do have a call center, but we are not going to advocate that call center during the week of enrollment. That call center is going to be used only for those leave of absence employees or vacation employees, or a situation where the employee just couldn't make it as a result of an emergency or some sort of thing like that. And I'll be communicating a lot with the regional supervisors with regards to that. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to have the call center situation be a way for employees to procrastinate on not seeing a benefit employee. And I'll discuss that a little bit later on, or actually on the Monday call. We're going to collect all the election information for you. We're going to do that automatically with our computer programs. We are going to have one form that we'll probably ask the employee, excuse me, for a wet signature on, but we'll deal with that in a little bit later. I just want to do this basic overview for you right now. before I get too deep in the weeds on our process. One of the logistical questions that we run into all the time as an enrollment firm is employees that are saying, well, I'm not taking the benefits, so I don't need to sit down with anybody. Well, from a compliance standpoint, that, I'll just say it very bluntly, that's not going to cut it. And we need to sit down with that employee even though they're not participating in any of the benefits that are being offered to them. We're going to be collecting what we call in the industry as a declination, which is a waiver, but we need to do that when they sit down with the benefit counselor. We're going to give the employee a post-enrollment survey. This is a standard thing that we do at Essential Benefits. We have those surveys in both English and Spanish. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we validate our enrollment experience with the company and along with their personal feelings on how the enrollment session went. Upon leaving the enrollment session with the benefit counselor, they will receive that survey. That survey is an optional survey for them to fill out. We're going to advocate that every employee does it. The reality is we get about 50%, maybe 60% that do. And what this will do is this will give MAR, along with Venbrook, or your broker, an overall judgment of how we're doing and what their experience was with the benefit counselor. So you can see that there won't be any pushy selling, there won't be any of that. So that'll be a voluntary thing that the employee will be able to do. The employee will have to forward that on over to Helena the way you guys normally do. It won't be given back to the benefit counselor, as we want to keep credibility to the process of their comments based on that. The call center hours and call center flyers, we will produce those at the end of the week for those employees. During that week, I'm going to be bothering some of you folks with regards to folks that have shown up, folks that have been scheduled, folks that haven't shown up that were scheduled, things of that nature, because of what I want to do is I want to be able to get sort of take roll on how our process is going on, and number two, see how much or how many people we still have to enroll by the end of the week. But again, the message from the management and executive level is everybody must be seen by a benefits counselor, and that must be done on the times and dates that we are out there to see them. So that's why the scheduler link is a very vital part of this particular enrollment with regards to that, so we'll know what's going on and where they're coming from. And I know, Ron, we've yet to talk about an additional locations in maybe Orange County. We'll do that on a separate call. Spanish language support with benefit counselors will be on site. I am going to talk to South Carolina, and I'll just say it this way, South Carolina and Chicago with regards to that. I'd like to speak with those managers. I'd like to speak with those managers today if I could. So if they're available, I'm going to at least place a call to see if I can find some time to speak with them as well. The next slide you guys see, this is an actual.
I have a question. I have a question. Is there going to be any like a weekend appointments also, or no? So some of our team members.
You know what? Let's talk about that at the very end. So the answer to that will be yes. And that's some of the logistical stuff that I want to kind of get deep in the weeds on phone calls with some of the managers. So yes, we're going to accommodate because we understand. What this next slide is just an example of a different account, but it's an example of the appointment scheduler. What you'll see when Ronnie sends this out, you're going to see three areas. You're going to see the California. It'll be a URL for the California folks. There'll be another URL for South Carolina, and there'll be another URL for Illinois or Chicago, however we set that up. But I just wanted to show you how we go about this, and it's very simple, very easy. We can entertain a question on the scheduler at the very end of the presentation, and Ronnie can talk to you about it. The next slide that's coming up for you guys is the information flow. And this is really vital to making sure that we are successful in doing our job for you guys, so to speak, on open enrollment. The two arrows on the right, for those folks that have their screen up, the yellow areas, this is where we do need your help. And what we need your help with is two things: the pre-enrollment material that we'll be sending out as early as Monday after the manager's call. So they're going to get a URL and pre-enrollment material that's going to have a brief overview of what's coming down the pike, so to speak, on the benefits and the process. And then the one-on-one meetings. We really need your help on making sure these folks are scheduled. So I can't emphasize this enough, because it's vital for us to be successful. It's vital for us to make sure. And then on a daily basis for executive and management staff, I'm going to be providing reports on who showed up and who didn't. So that'll be part of the logistical part on my behalf, and that I'll be taking an overview of all the areas, whether it be the California, South Carolina, or Illinois areas. So as you see, the flow chart continues down after the pre-enrollment material. Then here we go with orientation, individual enrollment methods, and data return. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So your support on one-on-one meetings will actually sit down with the benefit counselor. We have an enrollment platform called eCentral, and the employee will sit down with the benefit counselor. The benefit counselor will put in the elections, or I don't want that, the declination of the benefit. And then as you see, eCentral will send out information to both executive staff, Helena in particular, Venbrook, our broker, and all the way to the carriers with regards to deduction information and enrollment information. You'll also notice that, if you go over to the left-hand side in the middle, you have an individual enrollment methods. Well, we're using a one-on-one method there. And then you'll look down below on the bottom left-hand corner where it says data return. That's our data return is going to go to the various people, like I said earlier. So again, for the purposes of what we're doing today with the folks that are on the phone and on the computer, this is where we need your help. And it's very vital that we get cooperation with regards to that. The next slide we talked about the other day with executive management teams. This is basically the time period for which we're going to do. So obviously today, here we are, and I called it the regional managers meeting, so I'm sorry if I have the wrong title, but we all know who's on the call. On Monday the 30th, we're going to have the big call with all the managers. So from a regional perspective and executive perspective, please support that call. Ronnie will be sending out that invitation here shortly, and the more folks we can get on and educate them with regards to the process, the better off and more successful we're going to be. Like I said earlier, we're going to be sending out that link right after that call for those managers to start their process.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Would you be able to mute everybody's line at that point? Because with all these managers on the call, have a lot of loud background noise.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. So 9/30 through September 30th through October 4th, that's the week period that the managers have to schedule the employees. I'm going to advocate that some of the regional managers, and especially the gentleman that asked the question about the weekends, we need to talk about that so we can help accommodate those kind of scenarios as well. Just note that we're trying to get 300 to 400 people in California enrolled, and we're gonna do the best we possibly can. It'll help me schedule the enrollers. The real important date with regards to October 7th through the 11th is when we're going to sit down with the employees, and again, we'll take a look at the scheduling as the scheduling is going on, and we'll be ready to do the one-on-ones, and we're going to be ready for you guys to make sure that your people are there on the times they said they could. For the folks out in California, if we have a central location, which I know we're going to break it up a little bit, but if we have something like the one training facility that I was made aware of, I will be at that facility helping with the flow of employees coming in and talking about that. The enrollment sessions, just so you'll know, and we've discussed this with executive management team, you're looking at about a 30-minute time period. We know that a lot of times the employees will not have to take that long. So, they'll come in and say, I don't care to take any of the benefits, and we'll get them in and out in 5 or 10 minutes max. It's incumbent upon us to make sure that they know exactly what they're turning down when they do. So we do have to explain the benefits to them, just so they know. So coming in and saying, I don't want anything, and walking out, they're going to have to go through the process. So I just want to kind of emphasize that as well. So I'll be helping to monitor the flow. The folks in Illinois and South Carolina, I will also be doing that via the benefit counselor, and I'm asking for your help and participation with regards to that as well. So we'll talk about that on your individual calls when I call you, and we chat about making sure you're successful as well. The dates of 10/14 through 10/16, it's a real short turnover. That's only 3 actual business days. That is going to be reserved for what I said earlier, the leave of absence employees, the vacation employees, the emergency, got in a car wreck type thing, had a family emergency, things of that nature. And I'm going to ask that the regional managers, when they see that scenario, or if they're briefed on that kind of a scenario, that they notify at least Helena or myself, so I'll know who these folks are, so I can judge from a company perspective how big that list is going, so we can make sure and accommodate the call center. And again, I'm going to stress, the call center information is not going to be given out until close to the end of the week, or if at the conclusion of, let's say, and I'm just using the same example, the South Carolina and or Illinois areas, we won't hand out that number until the end of the week, as we're knowing how many folks need to be seen still from those locations. I will be monitoring the stuff down in the Los Angeles and Orange County areas myself. So again, I just want to make sure and stress that call center is just for those types of employees during that week.
Hey, Vince, I might even add that we would encourage the managers, we're going to tell them during the call, it is not wise to even discuss the availability with employees about the call center line and the timing of that, because there will be, this is all we do. And we've seen every behavior under the sun that you can imagine. And we've learned to our peril that we don't even make known that there's a call center to employees until the last day of the enrollment. And that way we know everybody. That way we can do, as Vince indicated, all of the manpower planning for all the folks that we have to plan for to be on site for the face-to-face meetings. And inevitably, when and if folks find out about the call center, they go, oh, well, I don't want to drive. Think about it. I don't want to drive, so I'll just wait and do it at the call center. I just won't show up for my appointment, and that way I'll do the call center. It's really important for us to have a tight logistical process that we hold on to this. It's almost like a secret. I hate to be that way, but we're going to ask that everybody kind of hold on to that with employees, so we don't disrupt what we're planning on the face-to-face meeting side. Thanks, Vince.
No problem. And good point, Mike. So listen, guys, the next slide, your role is vital. This is really important. This is why we're talking to you now, because we're really going to need your support. I'm going to reach out to a lot of you guys on a personal level, and listen to what you have to say, because your opinion matters. And again, Mike and I, for many years, have worked around many different types of industries. And so our goal is always the same. One, get the job done, first of all. And number two, making sure we're working around what's going on so you guys can continue your flow for what you do. So your role is vital. So we're asking for your support on the enrollment. We do believe, and we really think this is a vital way to do this as well, is you go first. You sit down with the benefit counselor, you see the process, because your opinions, your expertise, your statements to your staff are what's going to predicate our success. So we really advocate you guys go first with your elections, declinations, or whatever you want to do with regards to the benefit package. So again, I can't stress that enough. We want you to also support the learning process, because that's what these employees are going to be going through. They're going to be learning about some insurance. They're going to be learning about what's good for them, what's not good for them. They're going to be making decisions on what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And we had brought this up in an executive meeting. What if the employee can't make a decision? You know, a young employee still wants to consult with their parents. Well, we're going to advocate for that as well. What we don't want to do is have a trend where we're not getting the enrollment completed. And I'll discuss that kind of individually down at the LA office, and I'll discuss that also with the Illinois and South Carolina regional managers as well at a later date. One of the things that I think is really vital about that is that survey that we talked about earlier. So providing yours and your employee feedback back to Helena and executive staff, we really want that to happen. So when that employee walks away with that survey, again, English and or Spanish, whatever they prefer, we really want you to advocate them to fill that out and get that back to Helena in one way, shape, or form. Some of the locations we can't, some of them you can. We understand that. But the more we can do that, the better off that we can show the value of what we do for you and for Van Brick the broker. The next slide, you guys, is me. I'm your enrollment manager. Here is my contact information. So for those folks that aren't on the screen, my phone number is 661 area code 496 5848. Again, that's 661 area code 496 5848. And my email address, you're going to have it, but I'll just spit it out real quick. It's Vince, my first name, at ebens, that's E as in Edward, B as in boy, I as in Idaho, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, .biz. I'm the guy. It should all focus into me, guys. So questions and stuff like that, and logistical stuff that happened during that week, I'm the guy you need to call. So we can help, and we can adjust, and we can advocate, and we can do a lot of things for you. So we want to make sure you had that as well. With that said, you know, here we are at the end. Tried to keep it nice and short so you guys can move on to your next thing. But now it's question time. So additional questions anybody might have, fire away.
Vance, this is Greg with First Capital Consulting. One quick thing, can you go back to the data flow slide so the managers on the call and Mark can see the two arrows that you need their assistance with, and I can talk about why that's so critical for them. So you might be asking why we're doing this. The employer mandate requires that offers are made to your full-time employees. You guys have about 500 of them, and they have a 95% pass-fail test. So it is very critical that you guys help drive and schedule and get every one of those people that we have listed that is full-time that has to go through this process so that we can document that. Because if we don't meet that 95%, just to give you an understanding of what the exposure is for the company, it's about $120,000 tax liability every single month. So do the math on that. You're talking well over $1.2 million in taxes if we can't help get management drive all these employees, get scheduled, go through those one-on-one counselors, and achieve that, right? So that is what I think I want everyone to understand, that we are doing this because there's a compliance piece, and why we have to do it in person, because we need to collect documentation for the IRS. With that being said, any other questions?
I don't have any.
Yeah. What is the plan? I'm sorry. What is this new plan? Like which insurer or what program is it?
So what you have, and Derek, if I'm a little off base on this, and Krista, let me know. So you guys are in a restaurant trust, and the restaurant trust is going to be some medical insurance for the folks in California. That is going to be a Kaiser plan, a Kaiser plan only, correct? Krista and Derek?
Correct, just one plan.
Correct. So
for California.
Correct. So the South Carolina and Chicago areas or Illinois areas, you're going to be offered an Anthem plan.
Correct. One plan with Anthem Blue Cross, and both of these plans meet the IRS guidelines. So we're just going to offer one plan with Kaiser in California, one plan with Anthem Blue Cross, and once again, the employees don't have to take that, but the enrollers must meet with each full-time to get a declination.
What also is being offered are some supplemental voluntary products from MetLife. And those will be an accident plan. And this will be on the pre-enrollment material that's coming your way on Monday, but it'll be an accident plan. There'll be a disability plan. So paycheck protection type of insurance. There will be a group life insurance plan. It'll be priced very affordably for them. And I believe there's hospital confinement, which is a plan that helps fill the gaps on the Kaiser and or Anthem plan, depending on what they would like to purchase, or if they purchased it. So it'll be a very slim benefit menu from our standard as far as what we see. But that's basically the product offering, and again, that'll all be in that pre-enrollment memo that'll come out right after the manager's call on Monday.
Is there any kind of HSA or anything like that?
I'm sorry, two folks were talking, so go ahead.
Question is, will the MEC plan be offered in these sessions?
No. So the MEC plan, remember the MEC plan is offered to all employees, and that should be going on whenever you guys can get that out. You're supposed to do that through the paycheck and just offer it to everybody, collect declinations, and then as you hire, that should be shoved into the new hire process and just made at the point of hire going forward as well.
And
so
how about
the enrollment team? Yeah, the enrollment team doesn't deal with the MEC plan.
Wait, I'm confused. I thought the enrollment team was going to be doing that at this meeting.
Enrollment team doesn't do the MEC plan. Because MEC plan is offered to part-time and full-time. Enrollment team only deals with full-time, right? So we achieve compliance with the enrollment team under the minimum value plan. The MEC offering that we're going to offer to everybody is like your backup plan in case you don't get 95% with the minimum value.
Well,
So
Derek, I see a little confusion here because somebody might get on both, or they won't know about the MEC plan being available too. So I don't know how that will work out, but hopefully you thought about it.
Nobody will take the MEC. Remember what we talked about? That should be offered to everybody. You're going to do that inside your paycheck.
If we're offering at different times, it can be a little confusing. So, Greg, if you can call me after we're done with this conference call, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Greg. Is there an open enrollment period, meaning, okay, so for medical plans that are offered on a pre-tax basis, the IRS requires that there's a defined period. It's stated, published to employees, et cetera. I think 11/1 is your time. Is there the same for MEC plans, so that the only time that an employee can enroll is, next March or February, March area?
Yeah, that's something I'll have to work out. I mean, we had planned it for 11/1 as well. So, I mean, in actuality, it was supposed to be effective 10/1, but we already missed that boat. So we're just going to line it up for 11/1. And yes, there is open enrollment period. I think we're doing 2 weeks, Derek.
Okay.
Correct.
And
thank you.
going back to the earlier question about the HSA, all the plans that will be offered are HSA compatible?
Yes, Arjun, I believe they are, and I'll send you additional information by tomorrow.
All three of them, the Kaiser, the Anthem, and Anthem South Carolina, let's call, they'll all be HSA compliant, compatible. So.
Yes, and I'll send you that information again.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, you guys?
While having those one-on-one meetings, will the MEC be discussed, or it will be totally out of the discussion?
That's totally separate. That we should just distribute either through the paychecks or at every manager, and just make the offering as the employees come into work for, let's say, a 2-week period, and then have them sign off. Remember, the goal with that was to put it in the new hire paperwork, right? So that it's being done, new hire paperwork.
I guess understanding what we thought you were going to be doing some of those form signings at this.
That's on the minimum value. So that's we'll discuss that offline. I don't think we need to bore everybody with that, but that solves the B penalty.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any. Just don't have.
Well, okay. So, listen, everybody, thank you for coming and getting on this call. It's really important that we kind of explain the process to you. It's important that we go down these time periods to make sure this is successful. And we really need your support in advocating the employees getting to us, advocating the fact that they need to be educated on these benefits, and then also advocating the fact that that the process itself is going to be one that'll be successful with your support. So I appreciate you being here. I know Derek and Krista and my partner Mike and Greg also appreciate you guys being on the call as well. So with that said, I guess we'll see everybody on Monday for the manager's call as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys,
Thank
and
you
have
all.
a great day.
Thank you.